Okay, so this is probably the only current Ohio State 2022 overall every game odds and every game projections that I could find because ESPN has not released their overall win odds for each and every game. And you take a look at this, it actually has win probability for every game, and I thought it would be fun just to go through every single game. I could do this with a number of teams. I would guess they probably have every single Power 5 team on here, but you can see Ohio State's odds right now to win the national title. I've seen it at multiple places, plus 450 or plus 420. Win total is set at 11, so that's just the regular season win total. They play at 12 total regular season games, 9 conference games, 3 non-conference, and they would have to go 11-1 for the for you to tie on that. If you picked over 11, they'd have to go a perfect 12-0, and then to win the Big Ten Conference, they are minus 280, which is a heavy favorite considering all the other teams that are in the conference. But overall, just taking a look at the schedule, I think I'm just going to go game by game, kind of talk about what I think of these odds and the spread. The Notre Dame game, this is a ranking model. This is not based off of the actual point spreads because there is a legitimate point spread for the Notre Dame game. Ohio State is minus 14.5 according to Vegas, but this computer model has Ohio State minus 12.5 with a win probability of around 82.5%. So heavy favorites in this one. The first game against Notre Dame, it's going to be very tough for Notre Dame, breaking in a brand new quarterback. Marcus Freeman's real, first official game. I mean, you could say last year, the bowl game, but his first real season. It's so tough. And I would say Ohio State, I think they're going to be 100% ready to go. And this could be a pretty ugly game number one. Ohio State is due for one of these major non-conference home wins. When you think about the history, like their last 2 big non-conference home games, they've laid complete eggs. The Oklahoma game, the Baker Mayfield flag plant, and then the Oregon game last year, which was a big noon. But this one is 7:30 on ABC. The next game, Arkansas State. So minus 48 is the overall spread. I would say that's probably pretty close to what it's going to be. It has the win probability at 100% chance. This is a game where I would be shocked if CJ Stroud played a snap in the second half. You're hoping for his Heisman chances he could throw 5 or 6 touchdowns in the first half because he will not be playing at all. I would imagine McCord would get the entire third quarter, and then they might throw Devin Brown in the fourth quarter. I could if it was minus 48, I think I'd pick Ohio State to cover it. I don't know if they would make the spread minus 50, but I could see like a 66-10 type game. It just depends how many points Ohio State scores in games like this, if they're going to cover the spread. The next game, Toledo. By the way, the Arkansas State game is noon on BTN, I believe. The week 3 home game against Toledo, they're going to be heavy favorites. It's going to be probably like minus 35. I have heard that Toledo is the current favorite in the MAC. So that's interesting, and that actually probably will help Ohio State's strength of schedule. This is actually like a 7 o'clock game on Fox, so it's a funny little primetime game, but the spread on this one's going to be at least, I would say, minus 35. I know Toledo might be the best team in the MAC, but they're going to be heavy favorites, very similar to the Arkansas State game, but Toledo is better than Arkansas State, I will say that. But 99% chance to win that one. They get the week 4 home game versus Wisconsin, so there actually was a spread already listed. I think they're minus 17. The early line I saw was Ohio State minus 17 at home against Wisconsin. This game will be on ABC. I'm not sure if it's going to be 3:30 or 7 o'clock. That is TBD. We don't know yet, but this could be another home night game for Ohio State, depending on how Wisconsin starts off their season. Wisconsin has a superstar sophomore running back. Braylon Allen, he's a beast. We'll see if Graham Mertz can improve at all. They always have a good defense, but the fact that this is a home game, it makes it so much easier. I mean, minus 17, Ohio State's going to have a massive talent advantage, and they've got around an 89% chance to win, at least according to this computer model. Another home game, so it's just a scheduling quirk because Ohio State has a home and home with Notre Dame, and they're at home. They get 5 straight home games to start the regular season. And week 5, it's going to be Rutgers. And this game, I do not believe has a start time. If I had to guess, I would say noon on FS1. I'm just throwing out, I mean, that's just a guess, but maybe noon on FS1. That's week 5, minus 30 is their spread on this one. Rutgers, Rutgers is a program that we all kind of think is improving under Greg Schiano. There is some legitimate recruiting talent in New Jersey. Maybe you can keep some of those kids home. It's just so tough with Rutgers being in the Big Ten East. You face Penn State every year. You face Ohio State every year. You face Michigan every year. You face Michigan State every year. That is so tough being in the Big Ten East for Rutgers and Indiana as well. But 99% chance to win. They're not going to lose this game. This is another one. Pretty simple. Week 6, their first road game could be really interesting depending on the start time. So it's East Lansing. Michigan State, I believe, returns their quarterback and a really good receiver, Mel Tucker. We know he's an up-and-coming coach. They probably will be ranked, I would say, somewhere around 18th or 17th in the preseason poll. Michigan State will. But the big question with this game, does Big Noon take it? If Big Noon takes this game, you got to feel bad for Michigan State fans. Michigan State fans got to be hoping this game is a 7:30 primetime night game on ABC, but I could see Big Noon taking this game because you would figure Big Noon is not going to have Ohio State at all through the first 5 weeks because it's been confirmed the week 1 game will be on ABC, the week 4 game will be on ABC. None of these other games are going to be Big Noon. So Big Noon's first chance to have an Ohio State game, which is where all their ratings come from, would be week 6, an away game. And you hope and you pray that it's a Big Noon game because I would much rather face Michigan State at noon on the road than 7:30. Last year, of course, Ohio State played a noon game against Michigan State on ABC, and that was that was like 42-0 in the first half. But it's an interesting game. The spread is only 11. I would say Ohio State would cover that spread, but again, it's a road game, and this is high speculation right now. It is only June, and it's got them at an 80% chance to win, which I think is fair. I think that's a fair number. It's on a road game. You have to factor that in. They get Iowa in week 7, so the spread on this is 18.5, and I think Ohio State's going to cover that spread personally. Iowa, I am not high on this year. I think they're a 6-6, maybe a 7-5 type team. They run a prehistoric offense, and I think this game is going to be very similar to the Purdue game last year. Minus the really bad defense. Iowa doesn't have a receiver like David Bell. I mean, David Bell torched Ohio State last year, but Ohio State, that was another game at halftime against Purdue. A lot of people don't remember this. It was like 42-4. I mean, Ohio State was dropping 40 burgers in the first half last year, but I think they're going to annihilate Iowa. This is revenge for the 2017 debacle where JT threw 4 picks and who was it? Nate Stanley? Yeah, Nate Stanley looked like Tom Brady that game. I think that's who it was. That 3:30 game in 2017. Guys, funny story in that Iowa game in 2017. I remember it. It was a 3:30 road game. I don't know why I was doing this, but I went to get Subway, like right before the game started. And I come back, and as I'm walking in the door looking at the TV, the game is on. It was already 7-0. Because that was the game. JT Barrett, I think it was either the first or second play of the game, threw a pick 6 on the first or second play of the game. So it was already, I was like, what happened? I had thought that Iowa had got a kickoff return for a touchdown, and in my head I was like, okay, whatever, it's 7-0. At least Ohio State gets the ball to start the second half. Sure, they got a kickoff. Then I realized they got a pick 6, so not only is it already Iowa 7-0, Iowa gets the ball to start the second half because Ohio State had the ball first and JT threw a pick 6. So it was just literally a nightmare. That's a nightmare, guys. But I think Ohio State at home against Iowa. Iowa has a huge home game against Michigan early in the season. And that'll be an interesting. I wonder if Big Noon snipes that game too. Iowa's going to want that game on at night. I think that's week 5. Iowa hosts Michigan. But this one, I would say the spread is pretty accurate. 18.5, maybe 21. I think there was an early spread on that game. It was minus 21 Ohio State. Week 8, Penn State. Penn State gets screwed. So Penn State has announced their whiteout game is going to be, I believe, versus Minnesota, because Big Noon is having this game. You got to feel bad for Penn State, but if you're an Ohio State fan, we will take this. We dodge the whiteout. It's great. I don't want anything to do with the whiteout. Ohio State fans always say, oh, Ohio State always wins the whiteout games. Yeah, they're very close, and honestly, the 2018 game, it was extremely lucky. The 2014 game was extremely lucky. There's been several times where Ohio State, and then they lost in 2016. So, like, even the 2018 game with Haskins, we should have lost that game. So, like, Ohio State fans say they always win in the whiteout. I am scared of the whiteout. I'm scared of it. I know Ohio State has a good record, but it's always absurdly close. I'd rather just not play in the whiteout game. This spread has Ohio State minus 8.5 because it's a road game. I mean, I think the actual spread is minus 10, and it gives Ohio State a 74% chance. I would say probably I would put this percent chance right now at 70. Penn State returns Sean Clifford. They have a really good they've got a really good true freshman running back there too, but I think they're replacing a lot of guys on the defense. I have so much respect for Penn State's program. I like Penn State a lot. Then week 9 at Northwestern. If I had to guess the start time on this, I would say 12 o'clock on FS1. Don't quote me on it, folks. I'm just guessing. But I mean, I don't know. No, this Northwestern game, it's going to be a bloodbath. It always seems like Ohio State. Remember Ohio State faced Northwestern on a Friday night? Or was that Thursday with Justin Fields? I think it was a Friday night game. And they trounced them. It was like 52-3. But they're minus 27. They've got a 99% chance here, folks. Let's be real. It's going to be ugly in week 9. And then week 10. So this is a very easy part of the schedule. Once you get past that Penn State game, you get 3 gimme games. Home against Indiana. The easiest game in the Big Ten, I would say. It surprises me that they say Ohio State is a 30-point favorite over Rutgers, but only a 28.5-point favorite over Indiana. I think Rutgers is better than Indiana, personally. But if I had to guess this one, maybe BTN gets this game. So, yeah, BTN is probably going to take this game. Ohio State is contract obligated. They have to play 2 games on Big Ten Network exclusively. Every Big Ten team does, at least 2 games. Some of these teams are going to be playing more games on Big Ten Network because ESPN doesn't want to have them. But Ohio State is a team that obviously the big networks are going to want. They have to play 2 games on the Big Ten Network. So the first game is, I believe, the Arkansas State game is on Big Ten Network. And then I think Big Ten Network will either take this Northwestern game or this Indiana game. But this Indiana game will probably be on at noon, either on ABC or Big Ten Network. Yeah, this Northwestern game, I have an FS1 vibe to it. So the Indiana game, guys, it'll be a blowout. I don't think C.J. Stroud might not play a single snap in the third quarter. That's the other game he might not. Same with the Toledo game, same with the Arkansas State game, maybe even the Northwestern game. Same thing with Trevion. They're not going to play Trevion in the third quarter. Maryland on the road. Every time Ohio State faces Maryland on the road, it always seems like it's at the end of the season. Am I lying, or it just seems like that? I don't know. But yeah, Maryland is a fun team. They really are. They've got 3 promising receivers, and they've got Tua's younger brother at quarterback who looked pretty good last year. He's improving. They're a fun team, Maryland is, but maybe a test for Ohio State's secondary a little bit. Their defense isn't very good. Ohio State's going to have the major talent advantage. It's unfortunate what happened with Terrence Lewis. If you guys remember, the 5-star prospect committed to go. Mike Loxley got him, and then he had some major problems off the field. He had a major injury, and he transferred. I don't know if he's a JUCO player right now or what, but they're going to beat Maryland. They're not going to lose. I mean, remember Urban? You remember the clown show that was Urban Meyer's last year when that game against Maryland when Ohio State probably should have lost. Wait, was that Urban's last year? Because the next weekend Ohio State crushed Michigan, but Ohio State, the second to last game of the season at Maryland, that game, that was the game with Haskins and J.K. Dobbins and stuff. I think Haskins had like 3 rushing touchdowns, or maybe that was J.K. Dobbins, but they were down the whole game, and Maryland had a free 2-point conversion at the end to win, and they just missed the throw. The QB missed the throw, but they would show Urban Meyer like he got like 40 minutes of screen time because they wanted to show his reactions or something because apparently he was dealing with some health thing. Oh my God, the Urban Meyer tender. Oh my God. But yeah, hopefully this is a better experience for Ohio State. And then Ohio State was supposed to go to Maryland in 2020, and the pandemic canceled the game. Maryland called that game off, I think, if I remember that correctly. And then the home game against Michigan. I think the early spread for this game is -14. So the reason I think this computer has it only at 9.5 is because Michigan had such a great year last year, and I would assume they're overvaluing Michigan. That's just a hypothesis on my part. I don't know exactly, but I would guess that's what it is. But Michigan should, at this point, you would hope, would be starting J.J. McCarthy. I mean, I cannot see any scenario where Ryan Day loses back-to-back games, versus Michigan, especially this being a home game, especially with C.J. Stroud, with Trevion, with JSN, Emeka Ibuka, Marvin Harrison Jr., an improved defense with Jim Knowles. They're not going to lose to Michigan, guys, and I would expect Ryan Day to try and really run it up on Michigan, honestly. But that is the last game of the regular season, so every game they are favored by at least 9.5, so basically double-digit favorites in every game. That's pretty par for the course every year. I mean, you got to remember, last year they were 14-point favorites against Oregon, and they lost, so they're going to be basically favorites against everyone in the regular season every year just because Ohio State is so talented. This is their key games. So, yeah, this has the line at 14.5. This line is -12 at Penn State, and then the Michigan line. So this line is 13.5 at Betway, whatever Betway is. And then the so the win totals, I would certainly go over 10.5 wins, but it's -195, so it's not great odds. But Ohio State, at worst, is going to lose one game. This going over 10.5 means they go 11-1 in the regular season. So I'm expecting Ohio State at minimum to be 11-1, but I would say there's a greater than 50% chance they're 12-0 at the end of the regular season, personally. And then they've got some simulations here. Whatever this is, I don't even know. But guys, that's just kind of like the only win probability I've seen. The Arkansas State game 100% chance. I mean, it's technically true. Technically, you have to say it's a 99.9999% chance, like if it's a data model. But I would say 99.99% chance for Arkansas State, the Toledo game, the Rutgers game, the Northwestern game, and the Indiana game. And then like a 99.5% chance for the Maryland game. Those games are just locks. They're going to be wins no matter what. Those are like 7 straight wins. So that's just the overall stuff when it comes to Ohio State's schedule in 2022 right now. We should get FPI odds, I would say, at some point. I don't know when. Like on a per game, when they say like percent chance to win? When you click on the Ohio State, Michigan State, or the Ohio State Notre Dame game, right now they don't have a percent chance. I would say Ohio State's going to have like an 80% chance. I don't know. We'll see. But the FPI really does like Ohio State. They're barely in second right now behind Alabama in the preseason rankings. They're like in second by like half a point. So they really do like it. But this is just the overall thing. I wanted to show this because the only odds I could find. But guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.